Alright, Mr. Music here, and we are on Chapter 7 Test Review, and looking at number 18. So, 3 girls are selling cases of popcorn to earn money for a band trip. In week 1, Emily sold 2 3/4 cases, Brenda sold 4 1/4 cases, and Shannon sold 3 1/2 cases. Okay, first of all, right away I'm going to notice that I have a denominator of 4 for these two and a denominator of 2 for this one. So I have different denominators. I want all the denominators to be the same. And since we have 4 as the denominator for both of these already, and I see that 4 is a multiple of 2, I know that I want to change this 1/2 to be a fraction equivalent to 1/2 but has a denominator of 4. Alright, let's look at part A. How many cases of popcorn have the girls sold in all? Okay, that's our question. And then explain how you found your answer. Well, if it says in all, we know we need to add, right? Total, in all together. Those are our keywords that tell us it's going to be addition. So I'm going to have to add all 3 girls' amounts. 2 3/4, 4 1/4, and 3 1/2. Now again, I can't just simply add these because I have different denominators. So I want to take the 1/2 part. Okay, I'm just focusing on the fraction part of this one because the whole number is going to stay. I'm going to leave that alone. I don't need to do anything to the whole number 3. But I want to change this 1/2 to a fraction that's equal to 1/2 but has a denominator of 4, meaning instead of breaking it just into 2 parts, I want to break it into 4 parts. So 2 times what is going to get me to that 4? Well, 2 times 2, and once I know that I have to multiply the top by 2 as well, because again, I'm not changing the value of this 1/2 because I'm multiplying it by just 1. Okay? 2 over 2 is equal to 1, like we've talked about in other videos. 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4, 100 over 100, they all equal 1. So if I multiply any number times 1, I'm going to get the same value. I'm not going to change the value of the number. So 1 times 2 is 2/4. So now I have 3/4 plus 1/4 plus 2/4, and that will be how many fourths? Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6/4. And then 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. Now, can I leave it like this? All my addition is good. Let's double check it. 3 plus 1 is 4. 5, 6. Yep, denominators are the same. I changed this one to 4, 4, 4, 4. 2 plus 4 is 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So all my math is good, but the problem is right here. This fraction is an improper fraction. So before we write our final answer, I want to change this improper fraction into a mixed number. So again, I'm going to leave the whole number part alone. I'm just going to focus on this fraction part. Okay? And then I'm going to come back to that whole number later. So I can break up 6/4 into 6/4, right? 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. We're running out of space a little bit, plus 1/4, right? That's okay to do that. I can break, just like you can break the number 5 into 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, I can break 6/4 into 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And if I do that, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4/4 right here. This is 4/4. And 4/4, just like we talked about up here, anytime you have the same numerator and denominator, 4 over 4, 5 over 5, that equals 1 whole. So I have 1, think of this as a big 1 whole, and then 2 additional fourths. So really all of this equals 1 whole from right here and 2 fourths. So now I have to go back to this 9. So now I have 9 plus this 6 fourths I changed to 1 and 2 fourths. So really I have 10 and 2 fourths now for my final answer. Okay. Explain how you found your answer. Well, what did I do? I added the amount each girl sold. That's how I found my answer. So again, these explain how you found your answer. A lot of students get all worked up. They don't know what to write. It's really very basic. Explain what you did in words. Well, simply all I did was add up the amount of each girl sold. I added that up. Okay. So part B, the girls must sell a total of 35 cases. Remember, they sold 2 and 2 fourths, or remember, 2 fourths, just like we learned up here when we did the math earlier. 2 fourths is the same thing as 1/2. So 10.5 cases. They need to sell 35 cases to have enough money for their trip. So suppose they sell the same amount in week 2 and in week 3 as they did in week 1. Remember, this is showing how much they sold in week 1. That's what we did in the first part. Will the girls have sold enough cases of popcorn to go on the trip? Explain. Well, now we have week 1 here, so that's 10, and I'm going to change this 2 fourths back to 1/2. Okay, just to have it in simplest form. So that was week 1. So now we're going to suppose in week 2 and week 3 they sell the same amount. So we're going to be adding how much they sold. So if they sell the same amount, that's 10.5 again. And in week 3, if they sell 10.5, what is that going to add up to? Well, first of all, 10, 20, 30. So we know we have 30. I'm just going to write it to the side. 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. That's 3 halves. And again, now we're just like we were up here where we have an improper fraction. So before we continue, we have to change this improper fraction back into a mixed number. So if I have 1/2, I'm going to break it apart again. 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. Well, 2 halves, this part right here, 1/2 and 1/2, that's going to give me 2 halves. That's equal to 1. Plus I have this 1/2. So that equals 1 and 1/2. So I have 30 plus all my halves equal 1 and 1/2. It's supposed to be a 1. So that would be 31.5, right? There's no other fraction part up here. That doesn't look like what I want it to. It makes it look like it's 300, but there's nothing here. So you just write the 1/2, 0 plus 1 is 1, and there's 3 tens, so 31.5. So did they get to the 35 cases they need? Remember, that's our question. Will the girls have sold enough cases of popcorn to go on the trip? No. And then explain. They will. I'm going to run out of space here. They will have sold, and I'm just going to say the last part. You'll have space to write it because it won't be as messy as mine. I'm getting a little better, I think, but not quite there yet. So to explain it, I would say no. Why, or how can I explain that? They will not have enough because they'll only have sold 31.5 cases, and they needed to sell 35 cases. Alright, thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you on the next video.